The Slaughterhouse Basement. True Urban Legend Horror Story. Part 1. The Whisper in the Woods. The wind moves like a whisper through the trees. Dry leaves rustle under invisible feet. The forest, just outside of town, is not somewhere people go after dark. But tonight, 4 teenagers are walking its path anyway. "We shouldn't be here," Emily says, hugging her jacket tighter around her. "Oh, come on," Derek laughs, the flashlight trembling slightly in his hand. "It's just an old slaughterhouse. The stories are fake." But even he doesn't sound so sure. The group walks in silence, only the sound of snapping twigs and distant owl calls filling the air. The further they go, the colder it becomes, unnaturally cold. The trees feel like they're leaning closer, as if listening, then, faintly, as if buried beneath the earth, a metallic clatter, followed by a low moan, like an animal in pain. No one speaks. Derek approaches the door, pushing it open with a loud creak. A wave of cold, stale air rushes out, smelling of rust, mildew, and something else. Blood. Inside, the air is thick. Dust floats like fog in the flashlight beam. Chains hang from the ceiling, still swaying slightly, as if touched. Hooks. Rusted tools. Old blood stains on concrete floors, too many to be from animals. In the corner, a heavy metal door leads downward. A rusted plaque above it reads, "Basement, staff only." "We go down," Derek says, trying to smile, but failing. Nobody answers. Then a whisper, soft and breathy, curls through the air like smoke. So quiet it might be imagined. "We're still down here." Part 2. Down the staircase of screams. The heavy door creaks open with a long, groaning wail, as if it hasn't been touched in decades. The air that escapes is thick and damp, like breath exhaled from the mouth of something dead. Emily instinctively steps back, her face twisted in discomfort. Behind her, Tyler swallows hard. "Is that meat?" he whispers. But it's more than that. The smell is rot mixed with rust. Something deeper, older, like bones buried too long, finally starting to remember. The flashlight beam trembles as Derek aims it down the narrow staircase. The steps are concrete, slick with moisture, winding into a blackness so complete it feels like it might swallow the light whole. The walls are streaked with old handprints, some smeared, some clawed, all left behind in desperation. Every step creaks. Not wood, flesh memory. The kind of creak you feel in your teeth. As the group descends, a deep, vibrating hum begins to fill the air. It's hard to place, not electrical, but organic, like a throat trying to sing, but stuck in a growl. The sound grows louder, the deeper they go, echoing up the staircase surrounding them. Suddenly, the flashlight flickers. Click, click, darkness. Then the beam returns, just in time to catch movement on the bottom landing. A shadow darting left across the hall, too fast to see clearly, but too solid to be imagination. Emily lets out a choked gasp. Did you see that? No one answers, but they all saw it. At the base of the stairs, the hallway stretches in both directions. Pipes overhead drip steadily, each plop of water sounding like a ticking clock. The walls are lined with metal doors, each numbered, each locked, except one. Room 6. The door is cracked open. Behind it, darkness spills out like ink. A cold wind pushes through the crack, carrying a whisper. You opened it. Now it opens. You. Part 3. Room 6. The cracked door to room 6 hangs open like a mouth, frozen in mid-scream. Tyler hesitates at the threshold, the others just behind. The light from the flashlight spills into the room, but it doesn't go far, as if the darkness inside is swallowing it whole, refusing to let it stretch beyond a few feet. The air is wrong here. It's thick, almost chewable, filled with a smell that's not just rot, but sorrow. Like grief has been left in the walls to ferment. The walls themselves seem to pulse faintly, covered in patches of moisture, as if the basement is breathing. Drip, drip, drip. Water or something echoes from somewhere deep inside, each sound bouncing unnaturally, as though the room were bigger than it looks, or changing shape. They step inside. The floor is lined with slabs of cracked tile, some stained dark brown, others chipped entirely. Rusted hooks dangle from overhead rails, not idle, but gently swaying, though there's no breeze. Emily's voice is barely above a whisper. This used to be a kill room. Suddenly, the light catches something. In the far corner, a pile of bones. Not fresh, not ancient, just used. Some still have gristle clinging to them. Others are marked, scored with deep bite marks. Human, animal, impossible to tell. But then, Derek's beam shifts and reveals the wall behind the bones. Scrawled in something dark, finger-painted in long, deliberate strokes, is a sentence: he feeds on those who find him. Then, slam. The door shuts behind them. They all whirl around. Tyler lunges for the handle, but his fingers freeze. It's covered in something wet. He pulls his hand back. Black, tar-like ooze drips from his palm, thick and warm. Then, from the ceiling, a noise. Scrape, clink, clink, scrape. The metal rails overhead begin to move. The rusted hooks drag along with a low, metallic groan, inching slowly toward the center of the room. Something is using the rail system. something that remembers what it was built for. From the shadows above, a shape begins to lower. Pale, limbed, twisted. It's not quite human. It's not quite not. Emily screams. Derek drops the flashlight. The beam spins wildly, flickering across the floor, the bones, the wall, before landing on a pair of eyes. Black, bottomless, watching, and then they blink. Part 4. The feeding room. Screams ricochet off the tile as they run. Tyler yanks open the side door. Room 7. Unmarked, just barely unlocked. And the three of them stumble through, slamming it shut behind them. For a moment, everything is silent, except for the sound of breathing. Harsh, panicked, wet with fear. Derek presses his back to the door, both palms flat, as if his body alone can keep the thing out. Then, thud, a heavy hit. Thud, thud, a second, then nothing. They wait and wait, and the silence feels wrong. Too quiet, too sudden, like the basement is listening. Tyler raises the flashlight again. This room is different. The tiles here are cleaner, but unnervingly so. Scrubbed, almost polished, in large square patches, as if someone made the effort, but only in spots. The floor is slightly sloped, leading to a large drain in the center. Around it, scratch marks, deep, ragged, circular. The walls are lined with metal tables. Old, blood-stained aprons hang like forgotten skins from meat hooks. Tools, cleavers, bone saws, shears, are neatly arranged on a tray, as if someone's about to begin again. Some of them are wet, freshly wet. Emily covers her mouth. It's not a room. It's a plate. Tyler follows her eyes. On the far wall, there's a slot, like a dumbwaiter or feeding hatch. Old metal doors sealed tight, with streaks of dried brown leaking from the bottom. Then clang! The hatch shutters. A low groan rises from inside the wall, like something is shifting, heavy, alive, awake. Suddenly, the drain in the floor gurgles, a thick, slurping noise, like something breathing up from underneath. And then it begins to rise. Liquid, black, bubbling. It flows like oil, but it stinks. Rot, decay, hunger. Emily backs up fast, slipping on the slick floor. Derek grabs her, but they both stare in horror as some pale, hollow, its eyes completely black, stare up at them through the bubbling pool. It smiles. Not fast, not aggressive, just patient, like a creature that has waited too long and now savors the moment. Tyler pulls them back. Go, now! They sprint toward the far door. It's marked Room 8, just barely ajar. Behind them, the hatch opens, and from it spills bones. Dozens, hundreds, cracked, licked clean. The bones hit the floor like rain. Then comes the noise, the low, wet sound of something crawling through the feeding hatch, dragging itself in, sniffing, and it's humming. A slow, guttural hum, like a lullaby made of hunger. They push through the next door, just as the lights in room 7 flicker and go out. Part 5. The echoing hall. The doors slam shut behind them. Boom! The echo traveling down the new corridor like thunder. They freeze. This hallway is long, endless, the kind of long that bends, not because the building is big, but because it shouldn't be. The flashlight flickers again. The walls here are different. No more white tiles. These are wooden, old planks, blackened with age, rotting at the base where moisture has crept in for years. The floor beneath their feet is soft, like it's soaked with something that never dried. Above them, pipes groan and hiss, letting out bursts of hot, sour air that smells like burnt meat and mildew. It clings to their skin, their throats, heavy, like a weight they can't shake off. "Do you hear that?" Emily whispers. They all stop. Listen. Drip, drip, drip. But it's not water. It sounds thicker, like something viscous, dropping onto wood. Plop, plop, a voice, faint, female, warbled like it's playing on a broken record, starts to echo around them. "Come down, children. Dinner is warm." Derek spins around. "Where's that coming from?" There are no speakers, no wires, just walls. But the song continues. In the dark, where the cold things swarm. Tyler lifts the flashlight. The beam hits something ahead. At the end of the corridor is a mirror. Huge, ornate, cracked in 3 places. But what they see in the reflection isn't themselves. It's the hallway, yes, but not this version. It's cleaner, untouched, brightly lit with overhead fluorescence. And standing in it is a woman in a butcher's apron. Long gray hair, face hidden by shadow. She holds a cleaver in one hand, and in the other, a child's severed arm. Then, suddenly, the light in the mirror hallway goes out, and the woman looks up, not at the reflection, but directly at them. "Go!" Emily screams. They run. The mirror shatters behind them with an ear-splitting crash, shards slicing across the hallway. A few cutting Tyler's shoulder as he shields the others. Blood trickles, warm and fast, but he doesn't stop. Ahead, the hallway grows narrower, the wood darker, the air colder, and the song, it follows, You came to feed, now you must stay, for in the dark will rot away. Part 6. The Hanging Room. The hallway ends abruptly. A final step, and suddenly they're inside. A massive, circular room with no visible door behind them. It's as if the corridor simply swallowed itself. The air is dense, humid, choking with the coppery tang of blood and something even fouler, decay long buried. The only light comes from above. Bare, flickering bulbs hang from chains, swinging ever so slightly, like they're being pushed by something unseen. The shadows cast on the walls dance, twisting into shapes that look far too human. Then they look up and see why the room is called the Hanging Room. Dozens, no, hundreds of meat hooks hang from the ceiling, but they don't carry carcasses. They carry people, or what's left of them. Bodies in various stages of rot sway gently, creaking with each movement. Some are missing limbs, others faces. Skin peeled back like butcher's cuts, ribs exposed like bird cages, organs glistening beneath torn shirts and dresses. Emily gasps, her hand covering her mouth. She nearly vomits. Tyler stares in horror. Are they? One of the bodies moves. A twitch. Then a slow, deliberate turn of the head. The corpse opens its eyes. They're not white. They're pitch black. Solid, glassy voids that reflect no light. It smiles. And then, as if on cue, the room erupts in noise. Creaking chains, wet squelching, bones cracking. The hanging corpses begin to writhe, their mouths opening in silent screams. Or perhaps songs. Their heads turn toward the group, bodies swinging violently on the hooks, stretching skin, tearing muscle. Tyler grabs Emily's hand. We have to move. Now. They dash across the blood-slick floor, their boots slipping on fat, old meat and something else. Eyeballs scattered like marbles. Derek stumbles, nearly falling as a hook swings inches from his face. Then the lights go out. Total blackness. And in that darkness, 100 voices whisper, all at once. You saw too much. You'll swing too. She's coming. You smell just right. A light flickers behind them. It's not the overhead bulbs. It's a small lantern, held by a figure emerging from the shadows at the far side of the room. She's tall. Her apron drips. Her face is pale, cracked like porcelain. In one hand, she holds the lantern. In the other, the cleaver. And she smiles. Welcome to dinner. Part 7. The Cold Table. Thud. The sound echoes like a gunshot. Emily slams into metal. Cold. Slick. She blinks, dazed. her breath visible in the freezing air. Her hands are bound. So are her ankles. Her back is pressed against a steel slab, a butcher's table, stained with layers of dried blood and tiny fragments of meat clinging to its corners. The air is freezing now. Every breath she takes sends out a plume of white fog. Somewhere above, a slow drip of water hits the metal in a perfect rhythm. Drip, drip, drip. She looks to the side. Tyler is strapped to another table just a few feet away. His eyes are wide, lips trembling. Derek is missing. The panic on Tyler's face says everything. We don't know where he went, or if he's even alive. Suddenly, clang! A door slams open behind them. The room floods with a pale greenish light, revealing industrial tiles cracked and dirty, and tools lining the walls. Hooks, bone saws, cleavers, pliers, each one glinting with a thin film of something dark and oily. The woman appears, the one from before. She glides more than walks, boots squelching against the wet floor, lantern in one hand, cleaver in the other. No footsteps, only the dragging clink of her apron chain and the faint hum she sings, sweet and tuneless. Hush now, little calf, time to bleed, time to laugh. She places the lantern between the two tables, its light flickering like a candle in a storm. Then, slowly, she walks toward Tyler, the sound of her leather glove tightening around the cleaver's handle echoes in the silence. Shink! She raises it, slowly. Thwack! Emily screams, but it wasn't Tyler. It was the slab. A warning. The woman turns to Emily and speaks for the first time. Her voice is wrong. It's like hearing an old recording, crackling, distant, too slow. Which one of you made the call? They don't answer. She lifts the cleaver again. Behind, too large, too reflective. And the sound, skittering claws across metal, mixed with a strange, wet hissing, like steam escaping a throat. The creatures in the cages begin to growl. Not dogs, not pigs, something in between. Tyler whispers, "What the hell is this place?" Emily's eyes are locked on a blood-streaked drain beneath her. The woman raises the cleaver again. But this time, the lights begin to flicker. And from somewhere below, beneath the very foundation of the slaughterhouse, something knocks. Once, twice, then again. A hollow, wet boom. The woman stops. For the first time, she looks afraid. And in a voice no longer old or slow, she whispers, "She's awake." Part 8. Underneath the basement. Boom. The sound again. Deeper this time. A low, resonant thud that travels up through the floor, rattling the rusty chains hanging from the ceiling. The lantern between the tables flickers violently, casting dancing shadows across the room. Emily's heart pounds. It's not just sound anymore. It's vibration in the walls, in the pipes overhead, in her bones. The woman in the apron steps back. For the first time, she looks uncertain. Then, crack! A hairline split forms in the concrete wall near the floor, just behind the cages. It spreads fast, like a spider web. One of the creatures behind the bars whimpers, a low, warbling sound, almost like a child crying through water. Tyler groans. What's down there? Emily tries to speak, but can't. And then, a sudden burst of steam shoots from a pipe, filling the room with a sickly, metallic fog. The air becomes thicker, heavy with the stench of iron, mildew, and time and something rotting. You can almost, from beyond the cracked wall, a voice begins to echo, but not in words. It's a chant. Dozens of overlapping whispers, swirling together like wind in a tunnel. It's in a language they don't understand, but the meaning is clear. She was buried. She was fed. Now she wakes. Now she's red. The cages begin to rattle violently. The creatures are screaming now. High-pitched howls and low snarls at once, their bodies slamming against metal bars. One of them breaks free, charging toward the woman. Thwack! She swings her cleaver in a wide arc, taking it down in one blow. Its blood splashes onto Emily's face, hot, sticky, stinging her eyes. Then the ground gives way. Boom! A portion of the floor collapses inward, revealing a black tunnel beneath, lined with bones and dripping roots. Cold air rushes upward from the void, carrying with it the unmistakable scent of the grave. And from the darkness, something begins to crawl out. A shape, long and pale, like a naked serpent covered in limbs. Its fingers are too many. Its face, featureless, except for a single, vertical mouth that breathes in a wet, sucking wheeze. The woman shrieks, "No, you stay buried!" She lifts her cleaver and charges the thing, but the moment the blade strikes it, the creature doesn't bleed. Instead, it absorbs the metal, and the cleaver begins to melt into its flesh like butter on a stove. The woman stumbles back. Her skin starts to blister. Her face turns gray. She gasps. The hollow one. She's not supposed to be real. The creature reaches toward her. Splash. She's pulled into the hole with one swift movement. No scream. No fight. Just a muffled crunch and silence. The tunnel pulses. Then the creature's long arm reaches for Tyler. Emily screams, "No!" And with sudden strength, she pulls hard against her restraints. Snap! one of the leather straps breaks. She grabs the lantern with her free hand and hurls it at the creature. Crash! Glass shatters. Oil bursts into flame. The tunnel lights up like a furnace, and the creature lets out a horrid, wet screech that sounds like 1,000 babies crying through mud. Smoke, fire, panic. Emily frees her other hand. She grabs Tyler. Get up! Run! The two of them leap over the edge of the floor and into a narrow hallway behind the cages, coughing through the smoke. Behind them, the tunnel continues to collapse as the Hollow One screams in rage. Part 9. The Maze of Meat and Memory. Screech! A metallic scream tears through the smoke-filled tunnel behind them as Emily and Tyler bolt down the narrow corridor, barefoot, slick with blood and water. The air is boiling hot from the fire, but the further they run, the colder it gets. The echo of the Hollow One's wet breathing follows them. Each breath sounds closer, hungrier. The hallway twists, narrow like an animal burrow. Walls pressed in so tight that Emily scrapes her shoulders on the rusting hooks and hanging chains lining either side. Above, pipes groan, dripping black liquid that smells like decay and ammonia. Suddenly, bzzzt! A dim fluorescent light above them flickers to life, casting a sickly green hue across the walls. For a moment, it looks less like a slaughterhouse and more like a hospital corridor, except the walls are streaked in brown stains, and the floor is littered with jawbones and boots, as if people tried to run before, but never made it far. Tyler wheezes behind her. I can't breathe. Just a little further. Emily grabs his arm and drags him forward. They turn a corner and freeze. Before them stands a massive meat locker door, its surface dented and smeared with bloody handprints, both human and something else. There's no handle, only a thick, old-fashioned meat hook dangling from a rope above it. Emily steps closer, squinting at something etched into the metal. To leave, feed what's already full. She turns to Tyler. What does that mean? He doesn't answer. He's staring past her. Emily turns slowly. Behind them, the walls are moving. No, breathing. What was once concrete is now covered in flesh, twitching and pulsing with a slow, wet rhythm. Dozens of eyes open in the walls, blinking in sync, watching them. From the far end of the hallway, a voice calls out. It sounds like Emily's mother. Emily, dinner's ready. But the voice is wrong. Stretched, hollow, hungry. Tyler clutches her hand tighter. What do we do? Emily looks at the meat hook again. Her hands tremble. Her heart hammers. Then she remembers. The finger. The one she saw fall earlier. The one she stuffed in her pocket in terror and forgot. Hands shaking, she pulls it out. It's shriveled now, gray and cracked. but somehow still warm. She hangs it on the hook. Click. The meat locker door shudders, then swings open with a hiss of cold air and a rush of wind that smells like ice and ashes. On the other side is darkness, but also, faintly, the sound of birds, wind, life. Emily looks at Tyler. No time, go. They run through, but just as they step into the darkness, splash. Something behind them lands with a heavy thud. Emily turns, just in time to see the Hollow One pulling itself through the tunnel behind them, its body stretching unnaturally, mouth opening wide, too wide. It speaks for the first time. One of you stays. Its voice is layered, as if every victim it ever consumed now speaks through it. The door behind them starts to close. Emily shoves Tyler through. He stumbles into the dark beyond. She turns to face the creature, but instead of attacking, it suddenly stops. It stares at her and whispers, "You were born here." Emily gasps. The meat locker door slams shut. Boom. Port 10. What was left behind? Silence. A kind of silence that hurts, like the air itself forgot how to move. Emily stumbles forward into the dark, arms outstretched, breath ragged, skin sticky with blood that isn't all her own. Behind her, the meat locker door has vanished, gone, as if it never existed. All around her is a void, a tunnel made of cracked stone and breathing shadows. But then, far ahead, a tiny dot of light pulses, like the last dying spark of a candle. She moves toward it. Each step is soaked in memory. Her father's boots on concrete, the hum of the saw, the sound of her mother screaming and screaming, but not from pain, from joy. The light grows brighter and reveals a doorway. She steps through and gasps. She's back. Back in the old farmhouse kitchen. Morning sunlight pours through the dirty window, casting golden rays across the dusty table. The radio plays an old country tune, warbling like it's underwater. A kettle. The air smells like rot, masked with lemon cleaner. The shadows don't move with the sun. And sitting at the table is her mother, exactly as she remembered her. Apron, red lipstick, eyes too wide. "Emily, sweetheart," her mother says, smiling. "Breakfast is ready." Emily backs away, shaking her head. "You're not real, you're..." But her voice catches. Behind her mother, the hallway walls breathe again, flesh pushing through wallpaper, veins twitching under the paint. Her mother's smile widens. "You were never meant to leave." Then comes a sound from behind Emily. A soft, childish giggle. She turns. Tyler is there. Except his face isn't right. His eyes are too dark. His skin is stretched, shiny. His teeth tiny and too many. You left me, he says in a voice that echoes with others. Dozens, hundreds. Emily stumbles back. Her mother rises from the chair. The kettle whistles louder, deafening now, like a scream trapped in a steel throat. Everything begins to shake. The walls peel open, revealing hooks, bones, and eyes. The floor beneath Emily bubbles and blisters with pulsing red tissue, as if she's standing on a living tongue. Then, a whisper in her ear. A voice not hers, not human. The basement never ends. You only change rooms. Emily screams. Flash. Suddenly, silence again. Emily opens her eyes. She's lying in a hospital bed. A nurse is checking her vitals. A TV plays muted news in the background. Miss, the nurse says, you're safe now. The fire department found you collapsed near the woods. You're lucky to be alive. Emily tries to speak, but her voice is hoarse. The slaughterhouse, she whispers. The nurse frowns. What slaughterhouse? Emily looks to the window. Outside, the sun is rising. Birds chirp. Cars pass. But in the glass's reflection, she sees the meat hook dangling above her hospital bed, turning slowly, as if moved by a breath. She closes her eyes and hears